Hello, welcome. This is Parker Thomas Brisebois, and you are watching The Iridescent. You just witnessed me having a bit of a rage spasm there because I just finished reading an article by the Washington Post recanting to me the story of Dr. Stella Immanuel, or as you probably know, her demon sperm lady. The woman Trump retweeted as an advocate for the use of hydroxychloroquine to treat coronavirus. And also a believer in demon sperm. She believes that people get congenital diseases, I don't know, just all kinds of fucking diseases because they can't stop themselves from having sex with demons, incubi and succubi to be more precise. No, I guess it'd be incubi, because all of her rhetoric is super woman-hating. She talks about ovarian cysts, that's what it was. Ovarian cysts are the result of being impregnated by incubi, or an incubus, which is a demon that climbs in through women who are being slut-shamed windows at night, and then sits on them while they sleep and has sex with them, and then impregnates them with ovarian cysts and shit. Trump retweeted that lady. Demon sperm bitch. That's what I'm talking about. Stella Immanuel. Fucking ridiculous, dude. Oh, anyways, big fans of emotional transparency. I'm clearly a little steamed this morning. Also in large part because I'm talking about baseball again. And not because I fucking want to, but because a 27-year-old Missourian who is a relief pitcher for the San Francisco Giants by the name of Sam Coonrod made headlines in the San Francisco Chronicle about a week ago for refusing to kneel during not the national anthem, but what the MLB was doing at the time was a moment of recognition for the mattering of black lives. There was a moment where all the players held a ribbon and knelt in acknowledgement of the movement of Black Lives Matter because the Major League Baseball is outspokenly and officially in support of that movement. I just realized BLM, MLB, Black Lives Matter, Major League Baseball. Oh my god, it's the same thing backwards. Conspiracy! But anyways, Sam Coonrod, the Giants relief pitcher, refused to kneel, citing his reasoning as being because he is a Christian. And because he is a Christian, he cannot acknowledge the fact that Black Lives Matter, because the movement behind Black Lives Matter leans Marxist. He is referring to... it leans Marxist and is against the nuclear family, somehow. He's referring to one of the organizers of the Black Lives Matter movement, self-identifying 5 years ago as a Marxist and in support of LGBTQ families, or their right to have families. So, what I want to talk to you today about is the idea of the ideograph, okay? An ideograph is probably best understood as a political buzzword. It's a single word or phrase that, without anybody having to go into great detail into, people in the conversation are going to respond to it in one way or another. So, for example, in this circumstance, Marxist counts as an ideograph in Sam Coonrod. Sam Coonrod, his name is Sam Coonrod. This is the anti-BLM guy. His name is Sam Coonrod. That counts as his negative ideograph. He read somewhere that Black Lives Matter leans Marxist, and because he's a Christian, he's against that. Now, if we were to thoroughly examine that, say, okay, some of the more radical, scary elements of Marxism that people in the United States have been conditioned to be afraid of is the idea of redistributing the wealth from the rich to the poor, make a more equitable society, right? Okay, that's a principal keystone element of Marxism, and this Christian is against that. Wasn't it Jesus Christ who allegedly, again, me talking about Jesus, it's crazy, but I swear to God, people think this happened. He threw a bunch of merchants who'd set up shop in his temple. He was the one who said it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. Okay? Jesus didn't own shit. Okay? For what reason does a thinking Christian, bit of an oxymoron there, have to believe that Jesus would want his followers to be anti-Marxist? Okay? And come at me with a rebuttal, but I'm going to go ahead and continue my argumentation here as though you couldn't rebut it, because you probably can't. So, there it is. The Christian is anti-Marxist, not because Jesus would want him to be anti-Marxist, but because due to the way history went, there's a conflation with Christian ideals in the United States and being anti-Marxist. Even though if we look at practical applied Marxism as it exists in the first world in general, let alone the United States, but yeah, let's keep it here in the United States, okay? Keep it accessible. Marxism results in socialist practices. Oh my God, socialism. Oh yeah. Okay, for those of you who didn't know that those were related, they are. They're not different bugbears you need to be terrified of. But, you know, when socialism, when commie pinko shit creeps into the United States, what does it result in? What are the principles of giving some money to the government so that they can do things for us? What does that result in? Okay, it results in things like the fucking roads you drive on. Okay, it results in public schools. It results in the fact that everybody can get fucking clean fucking water, except for Flint and other parts of the country. But the fact that we pay the government to maintain our utilities is a socialist practice in and of itself. Okay, let's look at things we don't have that maybe we wish we did. Single-payer healthcare, which they have in Scandinavia, tons of places in the EU, Canada, you know. So nobody would have to worry about their bankruptcy-inducing medical expenses if they get hurt in some or sick in some unforeseeable way, because that was already coming out of their pockets and their countrymen's pockets when they're paying taxes on anything and everything else. Okay? Well, how could they pay for those $1,000 CAT scans if they're a fucking cashier at a corner shop or corner store or whatever? Well, the slightly richer would be paying a little bit more, proportionately so. They could fucking handle. Okay? So anyways, in those situations, when those public utilities are being nice and taken care of, the meek, the poor, those who are in need of help and maybe even a savior are being attended to. Okay? Weird. Through applied Marxist principles, through socialist behavior. That's fucking crazy. And yet Sam Coonrod couldn't support a movement loosely attached to Marxism because he's a Christian? A faith ordered after the teachings of Jesus Christ? The camel through the needle guy? The merchants and the... Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Anyways, so Ideograph. You should use this going forward. Anytime you're confronted with a buzzword, take a beat and just think about whether or not you actually engage with the buzzword meaningfully. Especially when it comes to negative ideographs. So when somebody says, you know, capitalism, you know, or Trump, take a beat and think, wait, is Trump really just... Do I actually oppose Trump? Or is he just like a negative ideograph for me? Well, I'll tell you why he's not a fucking ideograph, because I can enumerate the reasons why he's a piece of shit and his policy's been nothing, his administration's been nothing but bad news and horrible humanitarian crises for the entire country. Includes the racist waste of money, that is the wall, which is just a symbolic representation of our rejection of being the shining city on the hill that we once were, where we were a melting pot and our diversity made us stronger. He failed to press Putin most recently on bounties that Putin put on American troops. I'm not a big rah-rah military guy, but those of you who are should be fucking pissed off by that, because Trump has effectively condoned that behavior by a geopolitical adversary in Vladimir Putin, who's also his pimp daddy and Trump's his fucking bitch. But we all know that too. Okay, pro-life opportunists. Man, think about how many abortions Donald Trump has paid for or recommended getting. Okay? He had unprotected sex with Stormy Daniels. That's well documented. Dude's been fucking philandering around his whole life and probably not wearing a Jimmy most of the time, if ever. And I remember in 2016 him going up on the podium to virtue signal that he's all about the pro-life bullshit that gets wrapped up in the right-wing bundle of ideologies, and describing this insanely gruesome scene of an abortion that I'm pretty sure involved a Sawzall and a vacuum cleaner. He's going for gore points to score with an audience he thinks he fucking needs. Okay, he signed an executive order. Repealing a ban made in Alaska that prevented hunters from shooting bear cubs in their den. Okay. Oh, also, fucking kids in cages at the southern border. Okay, kid bears, kid humans. Trump's fucking anti either of those. Also, tax cuts for the rich. Again, Jesus wouldn't be stoked. And repealing Obamacare, which was our first best step, not a perfect step, in the direction towards single payer, which, again, Jesus would have been stoked if we had a more robust healthcare system that was available to the least fortunate among us. Okay? So that's why Trump's not my ideograph, not a negative ideograph for me. He's actually a piece of shit. And I won't go into why capitalism is also that, but for some people it might be. So just take a beat and explain to yourself or re-examine why it is you like something or you don't like something beyond just the fact that it's a buzzword, okay? Because you might realize that most of your fucking belief system is made up of ideographs you learned on the fucking internet. Anyways, this is my art piece. He's a little curmudgeon. He's a curmudgeonly gnome. I found him in my grandpa's antique shop, his workshop. I don't know. He's got a lot of old shit in there. Some of it's cool. Some of it's really not very cool. But anyways, this little curmudgeon, his ideograph, his negative ideograph, I don't know if you can see that, is everything. He's against everything. And, I think, he doesn't talk very much, and he's kind of one of those conservative types that really clams up when you try to get him to, spell out their beliefs for you. But I think if we really dug down, maybe had a therapist there, his wife, his pastor, he might be able to dig in and realize that he's really just compensating for something. You're not really against everything, buddy. You can't be. I think it might just be because your fucking beard is unacceptably bizarre. But I accept you. Curmudgeonly gnome. Also, you see our sponsor, or would-be sponsor, and that's La Croix. Yes. I'm not enjoying one yet this morning because I woke up with a little bit of the bubble guts, so let's dial it back a little bit. I came in a little hot there. Okay. I've been promising people I wasn't going to stay political all the fucking time. So let's give you an animal fun fact. I keep coming back to baseball. It only seems fair that I bring it back to the beluga whale that I talked about in, I think, episode 2. The second one. Beluga whales are able to, unlike basically all other cetaceans, whales, dolphins. Shoot, I'm blanking on what they're called. They're called porpoises. Porpoises? Anyways, unlike most of them, beluga whales can move their necks separately because the joints aren't fused. So that's why they seem so lively and full of personality and bubbly and stuff. Fun fact, I grew up thinking that beluga whales were blue because one summer, like a lot of white kids, I got sent to summer camp. And one time, my parents, in league with a bunch of other parents who were almost certainly, well, more religious than my parents anyway, they asked me, they said, Parker, we're going to send you to Bible camp for a week this year. And my dumbass heard them and thought because I didn't even fucking know what a Bible looked like at that age. And they got it in my head that it wasn't Bible camp, it was survival camp. Like I was going to be out in the wilderness, I don't know, learning how to whittle and carve bear faces out of soap and build a flare out of tubers and snail meat, whatever. I thought it was going to be great. Anyways, you can imagine my surprise when I ended up at some like mega church with a huge playground. These fucking churches are massive, man. I mean, not paying taxes, property taxes can get you a long way, dude. I remember this thing had this huge field, easily bigger than a football field, in the back. It had a series of the sweetest, most elaborate monkey bars and playground material you could ever ask for. And then obviously like a huge concert hall. Man, it was like an abbey. What I would picture as an abbey, or not a monastery, but just like basically a fucking compound you could send kids to and I assume hold service at. And yeah, man, holy shit. It was a church. It was definitely a church. And I can only imagine that they saved quite a bit of money by not having to pay fucking taxes. Seems like a problem to me. But anyways, back to belugas. So they split you up based on your age into groups, right? And teams, and each team had to come up with a name. And the theme that year was porpoises, I think, or maybe it was sea creatures. I remember my brother was in a group younger than me called the Pink Dolphins, and I was in a group called the Blue Belugas. Okay, and you know that whole camping week was weird for me. I think I was processing as I was going at maybe like I was in 4th grade, 3rd grade, so 9-10 years old. I was processing in real time that I was at Jesus camp. So I was constantly being thrown for a loop by how much they were talking about all this fantastical stuff that some skinny dude who ended up dying in a desert did. He was at least like a level 20 spellcaster. He must have been. A cleric, probably. But anyway, so with all the other impressions I got out of that place, I went back out into the real world, the real, gritty, secular, winner-take-all world of American capitalism, thinking that belugas were blue. And I remember getting in an argument with my 4th grade teacher, insisting that belugas were blue because that's what I learned at Bible camp. So, yeah, who'd have thunk I'd be misled at a camp like that? Isn't that crazy? Anyways, so that's a personal anecdote. Another headline. 3 men yesterday were rescued off of a tiny island in the South Pacific by writing SOS in giant letters. Like that. In the sand. And go figure, the U.S. military. We found them pretty quickly. I think they were only there for like 5 days or something like that. And we got them up. We got them out of there. It took like 3 hours on a patrol. Found them. I don't know what we had helicopters doing down there anyway. They're just all over the place. You know, with that much money, I guess that much money's got to go literally everywhere. So, in this case, awesome. Sweet. I'm glad, we were paying for that. The taxpayer. I'm glad the taxpayer was paying for that helicopter fuel because we saved those guys' lives. And it would suck if they died. And the military did stringent coronavirus protocol. So it turns out there were 0 cases of coronavirus on that desolate atoll that those guys were stranded on for a week, which is awesome. We can reintegrate them back into society where they will probably catch coronavirus as asymptomatic carriers. Okay, circling back to the whole Ideograph thing right now. In the United States, there is a subset, a culture among us, and you probably know some folks like this, who are big fans of getting drunk and slapping on a fucking bro tank that says America, back-to-back world champs, or freedom, or just totally decked out in what I understand to be a violation of military code, displays of Old Glory, just draped all over themselves. Right? You're not supposed to use Old Glory as an article of clothing. These fucking people do it anyway, because they're fucking patriots. Roddy. America, in that sense, is, or the flag, America, a very, very multifaceted beast, with a very complicated history, and even which informs a just exhaustingly complicated present, which leads us to just a horribly dreadful and anxiety-inducing, and dare I say, glimmeringly hopeful future. Right? There's a lot to unpack with America, but many of us like to package it into a new ideograph, right? An ideograph that it's still probably at least 51% considered to be pro. Like, in the United States, you should be pro-American ideograph. I'm not. I'm probably lean 49. I don't wear fucking shit that just has Old Glory on it. I think it sends a weird message, vaguely fascist, over-patriotic, just, I love this country because, fuck it, I don't want to talk about it. I just fucking love this country, man. Anyway, so that's the ideograph. So let's unpack one reason why it might not be fucking sick to be all in on that American symbol right now. And that's that Americans can only go to 5 countries right now. 35 countries, and only 10 of those let you in, no questions asked. The rest of them, it's well, do you have family here? Well, do you have property here? Well, can you prove to me that you don't have coronavirus, and will you go through a 14-day quarantine? And that's what you get when you get an American fucking passport right now, because we have handled the pandemic so laughably badly. The mask has become an ideograph for a certain culture, a certain tribe. Maybe it lines up with that 51% who love the flag for its own sake. I won't go into it. But the mask itself has become a negative ideograph for people. Oh, the fucking mask is what sheep wear, man. That's what you wear if you want to get owned by libs. That's what you wear if you're down to succumb to tyranny, No. What the mask is like a 70% reduction in your ability to transmit a fucking virus. Not an ideograph. Very helpful medical tool. But, we get all that other baggage, that other bullshit baggage packed into the symbolism of something like a mask via information coming at us from any and all angles, including the internet, which is probably where you're watching me talk right now. But I'm not prescribing you any ideographs, okay? I'm not giving you any buzzwords. Maybe ideograph is the buzzword I'm leaving you with, but you're not going to fucking see it anywhere. It's not being used by your favorite, fucking seltzer company or your political party. Nobody's talking meta about the fact that they're trying to just market you shit to keep you unthinking. They're using, I say they, any and everybody who has a vested interest in manipulating the opinions and ideas of people is using ideographs. Just everywhere. Everywhere you see buzzwords that come up a lot, just take a beat. Take 2 beats, man. Many of you are almost as unemployed as I am. You could take three whole fucking beats to think about the buzzword that is in front of your face and whether it means exactly what your gut instinct is telling you it means. Right? Because odds are it's more complicated than that, you know? And if you have to go on the internet to do some research, stick to Wikipedia. Come on, man. Keep it mainstream. If you end up on any site that says www blah 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 blah, or sorry, wwg, that QAnon shit, any of that conspiracy shit, like, just don't be afraid to slide. If you're wading into some shit that seems a little over your head or seems to be breaking your mind in all kinds of ways every other sentence, don't be afraid to just like slide that to a friend you trust, or, you know, your parents who have, you know, maybe maybe not your parents. Parents aren't always internet savvy, but send it to your smartest friend and ask them, hey, what do you think of this? You know? Because there's a lot of stuff out there that misleads you, and maybe I'm over prescribing this critical thinking thing, but I've also looked at a lot of the insane conspiracy theory shit, propaganda that's circling around the bottom tiers of the internet, and there's not a lot of argumentation there. It is literally all ideographs. It's all buzzwords. And people are eating that shit up because they don't know what to do with a buzzword other than to react to it based on however they're predisposed to do so. So, anyways, give it a good, long, hard thought. That's it for headlines today. I'll be back again with an interview soon. I fucking promise. It turns out it's really hard to schedule people when they got jobs and lives and stuff, and I'm just here making videos. So forgive me, one's coming soon. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Let me know if I got too angry, too political. I kind of don't think I did. Let me know if I cussed too much. And whatever you do, I need you to play this fucking algorithm game with me. Smash that like, smash that subscribe. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and I want to keep doing this, and the way I can keep doing this is with your guys' support. So just leave something in the comments, like me on Instagram, like my posts on Facebook, subscribe, do whatever you got to do, and I'll be able to keep making these videos for you. Hope you enjoyed. Peace!